Hi all and welcome to my channel. My name is Ala13 Coca-Cola. I normally do YouTube videos about Flight Simulator and any other simulator. Actually, I do DCS as well, a lot, and also Battle of Stalingrad. But I normally do my videos in Spanish for the Spanish community. I have decided to do this one in English just to show to the English community how to start up this plane and counteract the bug that some of us have been encountered in this plane, in the Boeing 247D from Wing 42. I've been flying this plane since the release date a few days ago, and I'm not obsessed with it. It normally happens to me every time a new plane of these characteristics, an old vintage plane, came out, because I love all these old planes, and I've been reading extensively about this plane as well. And as you can see, my cabin is in full dark and cold and dark position situation. I am going to do a video that guarantee you starting the plane in any situation, because the problem that you may have encountered to start up the plane happens after you finish a flight without this condition. So normally this plane keeps this status, or keeps its status for the next flight. But this is not entirely true. If you do not return the flight to this condition, that's when you can have a problem. And it's not a very big problem. Let's try to sort it out together. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start at the plane, and I'm going to show you what happened when you quit the game without returning it to the cold and dark position. See you in a minute. Okay, as you can hear, I have started both engines. I just started number 2. The first one is at 10,000, the second one is almost at 10,000, and the pressure is a bit high now. Every engine has a different dynamo that electrifies several different instruments. As you could see when I started the number 2, the horizontal stabilizer or indicator has started working. Okay, as you can see, this one is a bit warmer. I'm not looking at the oil temperature because there is a bug that only shows a wrong information here. This is still readable, but the arc of temperature of the oil goes only in between 40 to 80 approximately Fahrenheit, and this is wrong. It should be much higher. And because the arc is very small, it's difficult to look at it and get the right information while you're flying. It's better to look at the pressure, because the arc of operating in the oil pressure is from 60 to 110. So if you see the needle approaching 60, remember that means the oil is very hot. So if the needle is around 60, you have to open the cold flaps. They are open at the moment because we are in the ground. And the same happens if you see the opposite happens if you see the needle approaching 100 and 110. So this is the arc you have to look at. You should close the cold flaps. In my experience, normally in a normal day flight, with today we have 40 degrees here Fahrenheit, 48 approximately. You should fly with the levers, with the cold flaps almost closed, and only work them a little bit. It takes some time to change the temperature, but you will still immediately that the needle is going in the opposite direction slowly. So if you want sanity, if you want a normal flight, not very complicated, don't fully open or fully close. So don't change radically how the levers are operating. Try to find an optimal balance. You will never get them exactly at a position in which the temperature will not rise or get down. You can have a balance small window in which you will operate. Anyway, that's for another video maybe. So as you can see now, I have the plane in a before taxi condition. Okay, I'm going to even open the radio control. I could communicate. I don't know why it does that. I keep telling the IT I don't want the. Maybe I have to do it in the general options. Anyway, so I have all the radio. Everything is ready. I could start taxiing now after communicating with tower. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave go to my menu again, and you will see what happened when I go to my menu. Imagine that I quit the flight for whatever reason, and I'm going to go back and launch the same scenario, the same situation again, and see what happened with the plane. So I go to the world map again, go to the exact parking place I was, and let's start again and launch the same exact flight, and you see what happened. Take a couple of seconds. Beautiful simulator, this one, isn't it? It's a beautiful simulator. Okay, let's go. I think I have to move the simulator to an SSD, solid state disk. So it is so big that it would cost me a fortune. Okay, here we are. Let's click ready to fly. Oh, before we begin, I want to show you that my plane is in engine malfunctions, relisted engine start, and electrical failure. Okay, so I haven't cut anything. You see, that's how I'm operating. Okay, as you can see now, I close the plane, and by default, and sometimes, I mean, this, you see that this, which is the master electric, is on. The fuel is selected already, right hands, the right fuel tank, and the pump is on, and the magnetos are on, and everything is like in an on position. Okay, I'm going to put the parking brake. Even if you see this, in reality, the plane is off, but you don't feel it. Okay, it seems to you that it's in on, but it's actually in off. So what happens if I try to start it now without touching anything? You will see what happens. I'm going to open the fuel, okay, because remember that you have to advance the mixture, otherwise you will never get the pump work correctly. I'm going to advance the levels of the pitch, and I'm going to prime the engine. Okay, start with the left. Okay, 5 strokes, everything is on. If I now try to pump fuel into the engine, I can see that there is resistance, it doesn't work. And I see here it's not moving, it's not advancing. This will be the first indication that anything is not going correctly. So what's happening is actually these levers are closed, even if you see this in this state. So there is no fuel going in. So you may know this. You may have thinking, okay, there is a bug, Oh, I remember now. I have to switch them off and switch them on again. Switch them off, switch them on again. And then you see that, now they're working. That's because of that bug. But you forgot that you have already primed the engine, but you didn't because there was no fuel going on. So let's prime the fuel again. Okay. So obviously you do this first, And then the magnetos are on. You think the magnetos are on, but they are not. So if I try to start the engine now, okay, let's check that I have fuel, by the way. Yeah, fuel in both. Let's start with this, the right one. I normally start with the left, which is bigger. Okay, if I try to start with the right, let's see if I can. I'm telling you, spoiler alert, that I don't think I will. Always wait, because there is pointless to pump the engine when there is still with the crank at 7%. I normally wait until 14 approximately. Pump it a little and then try. Oh, it didn't work. So you see, you get so frustrated. I did everything right. What is that? Okay, the same situation that I explained before applies to the electrical system. If I try now to communicate with ATC, you see that the radio is off. But I have the radio on, still not working. It's because this is also off and we haven't seen it. So let's put it on. Now we have right. They have electricity. And the same thing happens with magnetos. Switch them off, switch them on, switch them off, switch them on. And the same thing happens with the starter. Now I already pumped. Try again. Spoiler alert, now it's going to work. You see? It worked. And again, the ATC, I don't know why it's doing this. Yeah, well, actually, I know why. You see? Let's get a bit of pressure. By the way, I haven't done one thing. That is, I don't know if it is. Because we don't have a checklist. I don't know if I should start with the fire extinguisher pointing at the engine. That's in the old B17 from A2A AQSIM. And I haven't checked another thing, which is checking that the fuses are on, because sometimes if you finish a flight after a crash, it may be some of your fuses can be broken. This one is not needed because from the radio. Okay, let's start the second one now. I already did all this, so it will work, no problem. So remember, once you enter in cabin, if you see that any lever is not in the cold and dark position, just switch them off and switch them on again. So do it with both fuel, do it with the electric master, with the starter, and with both magnetos. And then open the mixture to the maximum and then prime, not the other way around. Okay, let's start this second engine now. Sorry, I haven't primed, I think. Let's wind up with the power level. Just okay, it's about to begin. You are probably aware of the other bug in which there is no sound in the crank in the right engine. Let's wait until 14, around 14. Start priming a bit. And now, and it started. So doing what I just told you to do, I guarantee you 100% success, 100% success in starting both engines in any situation. Whatever have happened before, you're going to, and by the way, that light was on all the time, the position lights, and I bet you we don't have light in the plane. Oh, no, well, actually this one works. Okay, this one was working. So I lost my own bet. But everything else I showed you before, it doesn't. Now we can close the pumps for priming. And now we could start the taxi. I will recommend waiting. The left engine is already in the arc, I told you, but the right one is a bit cold, the oil. How do I know it? Because of the pressure. As you can see, the difference in temperature is slightly a bit. If you close here, you will see that the temperature of the oil goes in between 40 and 80 only. Okay, that's a pump. And the temperature of so the pressure has a bigger arc, and it's easier to read from this position. It's easy to understand in which position the oil is, because the arc goes from 60 to 110. So use the pressure, not the temperature oil, to check the status. The engines are a bit too warm now. I will put them at 10,000 for the warming up. The carburetor is now off. Should be, but this is another of the books. I think carburetor temperature is very low. So apparently, and this is something I have to still test in longer flights, because so far the longest flights I did was 2 hours only. But you have to leave it there in order to make the temperature reach 100. But this is not realistic. The heaters, the carburetor heaters, are usually to remove to remove ice conditions from the carburetor, not just to warm the carburetor. Anyway, and the cylinder head temperature is around 100 Fahrenheit with this position of the mixture. So the pressure is started to be around 70, which is the correct. So now we have the right temperature in the engines, and at that moment I will start taxiing for departure. I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, I normally do them in Spanish, not in English. I have done this exceptionally because I know there is a lot of talk about the difficulties to start in this plane, and I realized after flying it for quite a while that actually there is no difficulty if you just switch the cabin off before beginning the process. I hope you have found this video entertaining, at least with my quirky accent and my broken English, and you have learned something about it. I hope I see you again, but I usually don't do them in English. For me, it's an effort to do them in English. It's more natural in Spanish. So see you soon, maybe. Bye.